The warrior showing
you're not
us all
supposed to cry, but Jesus makes even the toughest of men cry like babies because he's infinitely beautiful and we are infinitely less and filthy. But as I read the New Testament, I fell in love with him all over again. There's no one like Jesus. Even those who do not believe in religion, when they read, for example, the Sermon of the Mount, they're in awe of his message. They even realize this is not human. This is heavenly. The way he teaches about to treat your enemies, and this is something out of this world, and it is. It's not from this world. It's from a higher realm, heaven. I fell in love with him, but then I had a problem. What do I do with Muhammad? Because I was convinced Muhammad was a true prophet because he was sincere. They gave me a biography because then I forgot to add the details. Then I discovered Malcolm X. I forgot to mention that because Malcolm X is a big figure in the Nation of Islam.
Yes.
Yep. He was the one who pretty much made the Nation of Islam, but then he realized that Elijah Muhammad, who was the man who claimed that Master Fard Muhammad sent him. So there was a man named Master Fard Muhammad, and he went to Elijah, whose name was Elijah Poole in Michigan, and he said, pretty much, I want to appoint you as a prophet to liberate my people. And this theology teaches that Allah is a black man. So it's not Islamic. You go to a predominant Muslim country that practices, you tell them Allah is a black man, your body's going to be over here, and your head will be over there on a trophy. So this is but I didn't know. So I started reading Malcolm X, and then Alex Haley, his autobiography by Alex Haley. I didn't understand a lot of the code terms because he kept saying them, T-H-E-M in the book. Then I realized it was an abbreviation for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But his story captivated me because supposedly on a trip to Mecca, he discovered true Islam. And I thought, man, if Islam could do for this guy, or if Islam could do for me what it did for this guy, maybe Islam is a solution. But that's when I went back to the New Testament. The Lord saved me. But I had read a sanitized biography on Muhammad that made him look very, very devout, sincere. And so I didn't know what to do with him. Because if he's sincere and he's willing to suffer for his claims, then obviously he's not lying. But what he says about Jesus contradicts what the New Testament says. How do I reconcile that? It took me maybe 2 years to finally, and I know it's not a politically correct message, but it is what it is. That's why Islam is not Christianity. Christianity is not Islam. We're not the same. We have differences. So Islam thinks that Christianity has been perverted, corrupted. The New Testament has been changed. We believe that there are many antichrists who will come into the world. I know Muslims will get offended, but it is what it is. Jesus in John 14:6 explicitly says, I am the way and the truth and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. He didn't say I'm one of many ways. I point you to the life, and I can bring you to the Father among many. He goes, no, I am the truth, the life. Now, even from an Islamic perspective, no prophet can say he's the truth, the life, because Islam recognizes those titles as belonging only to the God of Islam, which they believe is the God of Abraham. So for Jesus to say he's the truth, he just claimed to be more than a man from an Islamic perspective. To say you're the life, you just claim to be more than a man. And he says, you want to get to the Father, you want to be with me, you want to dwell with me, you better come to me and accept me as I am. But the Jesus of the New Testament, who's the Christ of history, is not a Muslim prophet. His name is not Isa ibn Maryam. He did not announce the coming of Ahmed, because the Quran says in chapter 61, verse 6, that the good news of Jesus is that he announced the coming of a messenger after him named Ahmed. That's in 61, verse 6 of the Quran. You guys can see it. So if you ask the Muslim, what is the gospel of Christ? Oh, he predicted the coming of Muhammad. That's 61, verse 6. If you want to see it.
Rob, can you pull it up? 61, verse 6 in the Quran.
Yeah. There you go. And remember when Jesus, son of Mary, said, O children of Israel, I'm Allah, truly Allah's messenger to you, confirming the Torah which came before me, and giving good news of a messenger after me whose name will be Ahmed. That's the good news of Islam. He prepared you for Muhammad, because Ahmed is another name for Muhammad, right? That's what they tell you. So that's their good news. That's not the Jesus of history. The Jesus of history claims to be the very God in such a way that even the Quran acknowledges no man can claim the titles he claimed. When I said that one of the names of Allah is the truth, al-haq, and he is the life, and he's also the first and the last. Well, if you go to chapter 22, verse 6 to 7, there you're going to see the names of Allah pretty much plagiarized from what Jesus said prior to the Quran. You'd think, if I didn't tell you this is Allah speaking, you think that you're reading the Gospel of John, because what is said about God here, the Allah of Islam, is exactly parroted from what Jesus says in the Gospel of John, which comes 600 years earlier. Here, you'll see it. So chapter 22, verse 6 to 7 says, that is because Allah is the truth. Al-Haq, that's one of the names of Allah. And because he gives life to the dead. And because he is over all things competent. Now, here's an interesting part in verse 7. And that the hour is coming, no doubt about it, that Allah will resurrect those in the grave. See, only Allah gives life and resurrects the dead, and he's the truth. Well, if I go to the Gospel of John, chapter 5, Jesus said all those things, but he applied it to himself. If you open up John chapter 5, you're going to have to open up the entire chapter because we're going to look at verse 21. So now watch here. Now watch Jesus say what the Quran says of Allah, but he says it 600 years before Muhammad showed up. So who's plagiarizing whom? It's not Jesus plagiarizing Allah. Now watch here. If he goes to John 5, I'll open it up.
Verse 21.
Yeah, we're going to open up the entire chapter if you can. If you go to BibleGateway.com, you're going to find Bibles galore. You mean I'm moving faster than the great Rob? What happened, Rob, brother? So you can't keep up with the Assyrians, especially if he's Jilu, you know? Now, if you open up John 5, just put John 5, it's going to open up. Now, remember what Allah is, it said of Allah, he's the truth, he gives life.
Yes.
And then the hour is coming where he will raise
Sounds
the dead.
familiar.
Hold on, here. John 5:21. Watch here. Let's go here. 21. Now watch.
Right in the middle.
For just as the Father raises the dead and gives them life, even so the Son gives life to whom he is pleased to give it. So Father and Son both give life. But in 25, if you watch verse 25, verily, truly I tell you. Now, this translation, NIV, says a time. The literal translation is an hour is coming. If you read it, it's an hour, because NIV is more of a paraphrase. So some Bibles do not translate literally, because in translating literally, you lose meaning. So they have to paraphrase. So this is a paraphrase. In fact, we Assyrians can relate. If I say, Atma Barishuch, if you translate in English, and say, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how it is with languages. So sometimes you can't translate literally. You got to translate meaning. But literally it says, very truly I tell you, an hour is coming and has now come when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, not Allah. The Son of God, and those who hear will live. Now 28:29 says something amazing, because the Quran says, the hour is coming, have no doubt about it, well, Allah will raise them from their graves. But who does that according to our Bible? Do not be amazed at this, for a time is coming when all who are in their graves will hear his voice and come out. Whose voice? The Son of God. So if I were to compare what Jesus says of himself with what is said about Allah, clearly Jesus claimed to be God, because the things Jesus says is ascribed to the Islamic deity, not to a prophet. So a prophet cannot speak this way if Islam is true. So what did they tell you? Your Bible's corrupt. Another passage, John, you brought it up, John 14:6, right? We read that. I'm sorry. Notice there he says, I am the way and the truth, one of the names of Allah, and the life. So clearly the Jesus of history is not Isa. He did not announce coming Muhammad. So from a Christian perspective, as offensive as it may be, facts are facts. If we all believe the same thing, we'd be the same religion. According to the New Testament, it's going to hurt people. Muhammad is an antichrist. That's the New Testament teaching. Because what is the criteria for an antichrist? 1 John chapter 2, 22 to 23 tells you. Who is the antichrist? He who denies the Father and the Son. Islam says Allah is not a father, and Jesus is definitely not his son. In fact, in chapter 9 of the Quran, verse 30, you know what it says? And the Jews say, Uzair is the son of Allah. To this day, scholars are baffled. Who is this Uzair? And what Jew said it? Now, some translations will tell you that Uzair is Ezra, the prophet, but the context is the call to jihad. A lot of people don't know that one of the last chapters before Muhammad died. Now, again, we're basing this on the Muslim sources. There are people who question the Muslim sources. They say, well, because
Muslims.
They're not in Muslim countries, they can't. But you'll have Muslim academics who will tell you, these are later traditions, they're embellished. And not all Muslims believe in what they call the hadith. Now, the largest group of Muslims identify as Sunni. In fact, you had two of them debating when they were here. They would be Sunni Muslims. One of them was a Salafi. So though they are Sunni...
Daniel or...
Jacob... what was his name?
Daniel
the other guy, Jake.
Hariraju.
Daniel
Jacob.
Hakikachu and Jake Brankatala.
Yeah.
Jake, I don't know if it's short for Jacob. Now, he's a Salafi. There are differences among them. And though they belong, and again, I'm not saying these differences prove Islam is false, because we got differences among Christians, right? I mean, fair is fair. Islam is not monolithic, neither is Christianity, right? There are flavors of Christianity. But point being, the largest group of Muslims would identify as Sunni, but in that Sunni branch, you have people called Salafis. They have a view of Allah that the other Sunnis do not share. We can get into that. But so, not all Muslims believe in the Hadith. Though it's the largest sect, they would follow what they call the Hadith or the Sunnah. You have Shia. They have their own traditions. They don't accept, in fact, if you come from Iran, it's a Shia majority, right? Mm-hmm. The Ayatollah, yeah. So they would not accept the traditions of Daniel Hakikachu. So when they quote Bukhari, they reject it. They go, we don't follow Bukhari. We have, Kafi, Quran. They have their own traditions. And then there are a group of Muslims who only follow the Quran. They're called Quran-only Muslims. So just like Christianity, you have a variety. So if I'm dealing with a Muslim, I first ask them, what are you? So I can know how to address them. I can't address them the same. Because, you debate Muslims, well, I don't accept the Hadith. I don't care what Bukhari says. I don't care what Muslim says. So I have to now stick with the Quran and show them why there are holes in the narrative. And the point I'm getting at is that in Islamic theology, specifically Sunni, there are certain attributes, names of Allah, that no creature can ascribe to themselves. Some of the names I just showed you, but Jesus ascribed to himself. So now we got a problem. In chapter 9 of the Quran, according to the Sunni tradition, this is one of the last chapters Muhammad gave before he died. These are his final marching orders. And in his final marching orders, if you want to look at it, chapter 9, it starts at 28 all the way to 33. This is, again, according to the Sunni narrative. Now, if you accept the Sunni narrative, then this is one of the last surahs. But if you are one of those Muslims who say, no, these are just later embellishments, well, then you have a hard time because you can't situate the Quran. How do you know when the Quran was written? It doesn't tell you. It doesn't even give you a chronology. For example, if you go to Sunni tradition, there are two periods in the compilation of the Quran. There's what's called the Meccan period and the Medinan period. Mecki, Madani. Again, based on the Islamic narrative, for the first 13 years, Muhammad preached in Mecca. The tone of those chapters that are attributed to that period, very different. To you be your religion, to me my religion. Because he's outnumbered. He doesn't have control. And if he does try to make an attack, they'll squash him. So when you read those chapters from that period, if we take the traditional Sunni narrative, very tolerant. Like, well, let's get along. Okay, hey, you don't believe my religion, that's fine. To you, your religion, to me, my religion. That's like chapter 109 of the Quran says it. To you, your religion, to me, my religion. That's what they'll often quote. But they quote in the context when they're outnumbered. Then you have what's called the Medinan period, the period where he now goes to Medina and he becomes head of state. The tone changes. It goes from, to you, your religion, to me, my religion. Then you enter Medina. Okay, now, since they oppressed you, you can fight back. Self-defense. Then the final stage is chapter 9. Now he's amassed a large number of soldiers, according to the narrative, right? One of the greatest scholars, in my opinion, questioning the narrative, you had him. He debated, Robert Spencer. If you want what I consider to be one of the most knowledgeable Christians on the historical Muhammad, as well as political Islam, you won't get any better than Robert Spencer. So if you ever want to talk,
really?
He's amazing, right?
Interesting, because he gets a lot of hate and he's got a lot of controversy behind him. I mean, when I announced that I'm bringing him, they were furious about bringing Robert Spencer.
Exactly. Yeah. He's my estimation. You know how people say this guy's the best, and that's an ego thing. May God crush our pride. But my estimation, I don't think there's someone more knowledgeable in political Islam and historical Muhammad than Robert Spencer from a Christian perspective.
Interesting.
He would be part of if you ever get an A team, he'd be part of it. Now, I mention him only because he would question these sources. But if you're a Sunni, because now my audience is now the Sunni Muslim, like whoever it is, if it's Daniel. According to the tradition, chapter 9, one of the final marching orders, he's amassed a large number of soldiers. Now he's telling them, go and expand Islam. It's no longer defend yourself. It's now go and expand Islam politically, economically, socially. That's the context of chapter 9, 28 to 33. But now notice, Muhammad has to give them a pretext to attack. Okay, why are we attacking these people? You're going to see it doesn't say because they threatened you. This is the Islamic narrative. It's because they believe differently from you. Right here, black and white. You're going to see it. So they don't think I'm lying. And if they want to get the commentators, Ibn Kathir, we're going to have a field day, brother. Yeah. They can't tell me it doesn't mean this. Say, wait, what did Ibn Kathir or Qurtubi say? Right? But here, chapter 9, 28 to 33. We're going to read it. Oh, you have believed. Now, this translation says polytheist, but the term mushrikun, mushrikeen, it's much more broad than simply a polytheist. The term comes from shirk. What is shirk? According to the Quran, shirk is the one sin Allah will never forgive. But what is that? When you claim there are multiple divinities, or Allah shares his glory or attributes or sovereignty with a creature, or God has a son, you fall under that category. So according to Islam, all of you are shirkers. You're a mushrik, whether you like it or not. Why? Because if they ask you, do you believe Jesus is God's son? Mushrik. You believe Jesus is God's son? Mushrik. You believe he's Lord? Mushrik. Now the Quran says to fight you. And to the victor goes the spoils, or you pay what's called jizya. We're going to get there. So, oh, you believe, or have believed, indeed the polytheists are unclean, so let them not approach al-Masjid al-Haram. Now, without the traditions, you have no idea where this is. It's a tradition that tells you this is the Kaaba in Mecca. But if you just went with this, you'll have no idea where this is. What the heck is Masjid al-Haram? But this means Mecca, the Kaaba. Don't let them approach after this, their final year. What year? See, without the Islamic narrative, you don't even know what year this is. Mm-hmm. This is 2 years before the death of Muhammad, right? But I can't tell. I mean, what year, buddy? Doesn't tell me. And if you fear poverty, now why is it saying fear poverty? The Islamic narrative says that they would make pilgrimages, to this day the Muslims do it, to circumambulate the Kaaba 7 times, run between the 2 hills, Safa and Marwa 7 times, throw 7 stones at Satan, which they claim was instituted by Abraham, but there's no evidence for that. These were pagan practices. So when the people would come, they'd barter, they would sell, they would trade. So it's saying, well, if you fear by banishing them, you're going to lose money, don't worry. Allah will enrich you from his bounty if he wills. It's if he wills. We say inshallah, but here it's, if he wills. Now, how will he enrich you? This is the question I want you to see. By having you fight the infidels and taking jizya from them. That's verse 29. It says it right there. Fight those who do not believe in Allah. Does it say fight those who threaten you? Fight those who attacked you? Fight those who want to take your land? No. Fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day. Well, I don't believe in the Allah of Islam. Now, I know people say, well, it's just a name. That's not my debate. I have no problem using the term Allah. The Allah of the Quran is not the God of the Bible.
So different gods.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But now you have to qualify that. Do you think the average Muslim even knows the differences?
Probably not.
Absolutely not. They don't. They're told that this God is a God of Abraham. They're told Jesus is a mighty messenger. So you have to distinguish between what the sources say and the person. Because if I interview an average Christian, how many of them know what the Trinity is? How many know that Jesus is the God-man, that you must believe he's God and man? If I ask Christians, is Jesus a man in heaven or a spirit? I've done that. They'll say he's a spirit. No, he's not. The Bible says he's a glorified man in heaven with a glorified physical body of flesh. And he's going to come back in the flesh. So how many Christians know that they're supposed to believe that? You'd be surprised. Ask Christians, say, hey.
I understand.
Yeah. So here, if you don't have the same idea of Allah, they do, that's pretext to fight you.
And Sam, not to cut you off, when you say fight, is that fight to kill?
No, it's UFC.
Oh, okay. I want to make that clear that it's saying fight. Fight should be, they're trying to kill you.
UFC championship belt.
Okay,
What's wrong with you?
Okay, my bad.
See, that's that Assyrian in you, bro.
Yeah,
so,
okay. Please continue.
So, and the last day now. Real quickly, let me describe Islamic last day, because I want to show the audience who don't know Islam how graphic this is. The last day in Islam means if you pass the test, you will enter Jannah, you'll enter paradise. You have maidens of pleasure, Hur al-Ain. I can give you even a reference, very graphic, chapter 78, 31, 33. It says that they have swelling breasts that don't sag. And the Quran says you'll spend all eternity deflowering them, but you won't harm them. And they'll return. When I say Quran says you will have sex with them, but the hadiths go graphic. You will be deflowering them, but you won't hurt them. They'll return virginal again. So this is the pleasures of paradise. And you're going to have wine, and you're going to have milk, and you're going to have meat and young boys serving you. Youths of perpetual freshness. Now, why the hell do I need a young boy in paradise to serve me? Well, things to make you go, But that's the last day. Oh, you brought it up, huh? See, full-breasted.
Companions of equal age.
Yeah, so that means you don't need breast implants in paradise. It's
You're good
free
to
of
go.
charge, yeah.
Perfect.
It's impressive.
You see why they love us, don't you? I mean,
It's impressive.
When we come here, go back to 30, up to 30. So now, why should you fight them? I'm sorry, 29. Fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day, who do not consider unlawful what Allah and His Messenger have made unlawful. So if you don't accept Muhammad's restrictions, like don't eat pig meat, grounds to fight you. Am I making it up? It's right there. Why do you fight them? Who do not consider unlawful what Allah and His Messenger have made unlawful. So what you do not forbid and Muhammad has forbidden, you are now an enemy and need to be brought into submission. And who do not adopt the religion of truth. Now guess what that religion is? Buddhism? It's Islam. So if you do not accept Islam, what must they do? Fight you? Even those who are given the scripture, meaning even if they're Jews and Christians. Many people may not know this, but those who are in the field will know. One of the titles given to Jews and Christians is Ahl al-Kitab, the people of the book. Why? Because the Quran assumes the same God that gave the Quran gave the scriptures to the Jews and Christians. Because it says He's the God of Abraham, right? And it says this is the religion of Abraham. So even if you're a Jew or Christian, but you deny Muhammad, or Allah said to the Muslims, fight them until they pay jizya. Why? Willingly, while they are humbled, as a sign of your humiliation. That's how Allah will enrich you. Thank the Lord, there's really no Islamic state that enforces this. Praise the Lord Jesus Christ, right? I mean, if you ask me, is there an Islamic state? No, there isn't. Are some countries more Islamic than others? Yes. But there is no truly Islamic state, right, that implements what the Quran and the Sharia puts. But you understand, this is how Islam expanded. Go find people where they're at, invite them to Islam, and if they accept, they're safe. If not, take the jizya from them, and if not, kill them until the victor goes the spoils. Another thing, this related to Christ. Why then should you fight Jews and Christians? Verse 30. The Jews say Ezra is the son of Allah. But it's not Ezra, it's Uzair. They tell you it's Ezra. But with that said, there's not any shred of historical evidence that the Jews ever worshipped Ezra as the unique son of God. Doesn't exist. So where does this come from? Well, the Muslims say, well, there was a particular group at a particular time. But those are the Muslim sources. If you ask them, can you give me any pre-Islamic or sources besides Islam that there were Jews who worshipped Ezra or whoever? No, they can't find it. But now watch. The Jews say Ezra is the son of Allah. And the Christians say the Messiah is the son of Allah. Now, there they got us. If I ask you guys, do you believe Messiah is the son of Allah? Do you believe Jesus is the son of God?
Yes.
It says, for that reason, they must fight you. It's right there. The son of Mary. And they were not I'm sorry, you skipped to 31. That is what they say with their mouths. See, that's something you just say from you made it up. Imitating the sayings of those who disbelieved before. May Allah destroy them. How do you think Allah is going to destroy you? He's going to come down on a horse? Who do you think He's going to use to destroy you? The jihadis. Am I making it up? It's right there.
Nope.
This is the context of jihad. This is what Islam, this is Muhammad's final marching orders. Whether you like it or not, if they become predominant majority, and if they're zealous, now thank God most Muslims are not, they have to do this.
Sam, how many times have you read the Quran?
I don't know, really. Maybe once or twice. I don't know.
No, stop it.
No, I'm serious. I don't.
Literally, you've read it maybe once or twice?
Yeah.
And how do you remember everything?
As I was said, I think we said off there.